Are you sick and tired of teaching boring poetry units that leave your students falling asleep at their desks? Are you fed up with the grunts and protests that come from students when you announce that it's Poetry Week? Well, do we have the solution for you? We here at Team Starbucks have designed a state-of-the-art unit plan that supports both student creativity and is rooted in the Nevada State Academic Content Standards. So it's sure to please your students and your administrators. Let's face it, traditional poetry units simply don't appeal to students, resulting in a disengaged, frustrated class who can't relate to what they're reading and don't know what to write. Let's take a look at some common problems associated with poetry units and our fixes for them.
Miss, I don't understand what he means. Who even is this? Poetry is so not for people like me. God, I'm gonna take a nap.
Imagine working extraordinarily hard on a whole entire poetry unit and you realize that your students are just not understanding. And then you realize you've given them a list of unrelatable poets. So the reason why they might be unrelatable is because these students of the newer generations just don't identify with them like what they once used to. So having a list of modern day poets can definitely start students to understand, analyze, and create their own poets. Two of my favorite include Ruby Kaur and Warsan Shire. Now, the reason why I like these poets is because they are either immigrants or children of immigrants, and they talk about what it's like being a person of color and navigating through the world because of it. Now, also, having a list of rappers, singers, song artists, all of that can definitely help students in identifying what poetry truly can entail. So one of my favorites include Drake. He is just great, and he is also one of those artists that just continues on as generations continue to progress. Another one that I really like is Childish Gambino. This Is America is a great song to analyze in the classroom and to discuss race relations in the United States.
Thank you so much, Suki, for your input on creating student engagement by including relatable content in the curriculum. Now, I'm going to pass it over to Ray to expand on the importance of engagement with a special focus on the importance of diversity.
One of the mainstream issues with teaching poetry is keeping students engaged. Problems arise where students aren't able to relate to the poets, or it feels like they overall aren't reaching students in various dynamics. Poets such as Walt Whitman, Emily Dickinson, John Keats, they all have a commonality here. And even though these are all amazing poets and historical figures that should be learned about, there is no diversity happening over a span of centuries, color, and gender. Therefore, this unit includes a ton of diverse poets that a majority of students will be better able to relate to in some way, shape, or form, which is something that we have planned over the span of 4 weeks. Breaking this complex, we have added in poets such as Sherman Alexie, who is deeply rooted in his Native American culture. We even have Langston Hughes. Langston Hughes, who is named the Shakespeare of the Harlem Renaissance and talks about the struggles of being Black in the rise of America. This unit also includes videos within the last 10 years of teenage students who have performed about social, political, and cultural issues that happen in the world, and more specifically, this very country that we live. Not only do these reach the age groups that we are teaching, but it allows for students to understand that what they are learning and choosing to focus on is absolutely valid.
Wow, Ruby Kaur. She totally understands what it's like being a daughter of an immigrant. Drake? Oh my gosh, I didn't even know rap is a form of poetry, so it is true. Poetry is for people like me.
Are your students frustrated and bored of poetry because they struggle with figuring out what to write and find it hard to relate it back to them and their own experiences? Well, you're in luck. Teachers, we have a brilliant lesson plan that's centered around the Where I'm From poem by George Ellen Leon. Students will be given a template where they can go step by step, filling in the blanks to specific descriptions. These blanks are similar to Mad Libs, just poetry version. What? Teachers will go through the worksheet with their 9th graders, having them fill in the blanks about their childhood, descriptions of their homes, and family traditions and cultures. This lesson will allow students to be engaged since they can add in their own experiences, and the template will give them a head start on what to write if they are stuck. The following day, students will all share their Where I'm From poems with the class and bring in any type of visual they choose. It could be a picture collage, video, bringing in an object from their home, etc. The point of them sharing is so their peers can get a sense of who their classmates are and can learn about cultures that differ from their own. The teacher will also present their own Where I'm From poem as well as the visual. That way students are able to understand them more and also about their own cultures and background. That will lead to a better classroom environment where all students and the teacher will have a better understanding of each other and their cultural backgrounds.
Are you tired of grading the same boring poems every time you try to teach a poetry unit? Alex, why don't you come up to the front of the class and present your poem?
Roses are red, violets are blue, poetry is dumb, and my teacher is too.
Thank you so much, Alex. If you've heard one too many poems like this, our unit is perfect for you. Our activities encourage student creativity, so you're not just reading the same boring work all the time. We've given students plenty of opportunities for adding visuals to their poems, such as adding visuals to their haikus or their Where I'm From poems. And we've also incorporated innovative activities that allow them to be creative and to really create works of art, like remixes, for example, as well as our found poem activity. Here, in our Students Found Poem activity, students will use a text that they are familiar with from your previous unit, and they will use it to create works of art. Works of art such as this. Here's an example of one of many amazing student poems that were turned in through our poetry unit in the past. This poem is about To Kill a Mockingbird, and it's called Ask. We heard no more. We heard plenty. Allergic to crowds, we would see only one obscure observation. We had a question. We grew older. Was knowledge by force dry when asked? She said ask. I forgot. And now, Detail, who was sitting in a corner, stared at us. Same old poems? Not anymore.
Arguably, the best part of our poetry unit is our culminating celebration. Throughout our poetry unit, students collect the works they've made into poetry anthologies. On the final day of our unit, we transform the classroom into a coffee shop complete with lo-fi music, potluck snacks, and the ability for students to share their hard work with the class. Let's give you a little taste of what that looks like.